For 6 years, Maya Collins perfected the art of disappearing. She walked into meetings where colleagues forgot her name mid-sentence, sat in a cubicle next to the supply closet where her boss called her Michelle 47 times. 47 times Maya smiled and said nothing. She'd become so good at being invisible that when she looked in mirrors, even she sometimes couldn't see herself. Then one October night changed everything. A borrowed dress. A Manhattan gala she wasn't supposed to attend. A balcony where the city's most powerful billionaire stood alone, looking as lonely as she felt. And one conversation, raw, honest, dangerous, that made Grant Whitaker see what no one else had. That the woman everyone overlooked was the only one worth remembering. But visibility comes with a price. When their midnight connection became morning headlines, when leaked emails suggested she was just his PR strategy, when $30 million and her entire future hung on proving she was brilliant, not bought, Maya learned the hardest truth of all: being seen doesn't save you. It forces you to save yourself. This is the story of a woman who stopped disappearing, and the billionaire who learned that real love doesn't rescue, it witnesses. It stays. It trusts you to be extraordinary all on your own. What happened on that balcony? And what question changed everything? Stay with us to find out. The Metropolitan Gala smelled like jasmine and old money. Maya stood near the champagne fountain, adjusting the strap of a dress she'd borrowed from her roommate. Midnight blue silk that didn't quite fit her shoulders. She wasn't supposed to be here. Her boss at Ecolink Consulting had texted 3 hours before the event. Networking emergency. Represent us, smile, mingle, don't embarrass me. Maya had spent 6 years at Ecolink writing reports no one read. Her cubicle sat in the back corner next to the supply closet. Colleagues forgot her name mid-sentence. She'd stopped correcting them. The ballroom glittered. Crystal chandeliers reflecting off marble floors. Women in gowns that cost more than Maya's monthly rent. She clutched her program, scanning for anyone from the clean energy sector who might actually talk to her. A waiter glided past with miniature lobster rolls. She took one, grateful for something to do with her hands. Through the crowd, she noticed a man standing alone on the balcony. Tall, dark suit, posture too rigid for someone at a party. He stared at the Manhattan skyline like it owed him an apology. Maya recognized the look, the specific loneliness of being surrounded by hundreds and belonging to none. Her phone buzzed. A text from her boss. Did you secure the Harrison meeting? Please tell me you secured it. Maya hadn't even found Harrison. She typed back a lie about circulating, then slipped through the French doors onto the balcony. Fresh October air hit her face. The man didn't turn. If you're hiding, Maya said, you picked a terrible spot. The lighting's dramatic out here. He glanced at her. Sharp jawline, gray eyes that didn't match the corporate smile. And if I'm not hiding? Then you're enjoying a view you could buy 6 times over, which seems inefficient. A crack appeared in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. Grant Whitaker. He extended a hand. Maya froze. Grant Whitaker, founder of Apex Tech. Forbes called him the Ice King of Silicon Alley. His mother, Elaine Whitaker, sat on half the charity boards in New York. Maya had researched his company for a proposal her boss never submitted. She shook his hand. Maya Collins. I'm with Ecolink. We do energy consulting. She winced at how small that sounded. Energy's interesting, Grant said, and he somehow made it sound true. What brings you here? Obligation, you? Same. He leaned against the railing. My mother organizes these. Attendance is non-negotiable. For the next 20 minutes they talked. Not networking talk, real conversation. Maya mentioned her frustration with greenwashing and corporate sustainability. Grant admitted his company's carbon offset program was performative theater. When she laughed, actually laughed, not the polite work laugh, he looked at her like she'd surprised him. Walk with me, he said suddenly. Central Park's 10 minutes away. Maya should have said no. She had work tomorrow. Her boss expected a full report. But Grant Whitaker was looking at her like she was visible, and Maya couldn't remember the last time anyone had. Okay, she said. They left through the service entrance. If you want to know what happens when invisibility meets obsession, subscribe and drop a comment below. What would you do if someone finally saw you? Central Park at midnight felt like stepping into a different city. Street lamps cast amber pools across empty paths. Their shoes echoed on pavement still warm from the day. Grant walked with his hands in his pockets, tie loosened, the first human thing Maya had seen him do all night. "Tell me something true," he said. "Not the elevator pitch version, the version you'd tell a stranger on a train." Maya considered lying, then didn't. "I'm tired of being furniture. People look through me. My boss forgets my name. She calls me Michelle. I've corrected her 47 times. I stopped at 48. Why? Because it doesn't matter. I could quit tomorrow and they'd replace me with someone younger, cheaper, and just as invisible." Grant stopped walking. They stood near Bethesda Fountain, the angel statue watching over empty stone. "I built a company worth $8 billion, he said quietly. "Last week, my mother introduced me to a senator and called me driven but emotionally unavailable. In front of cameras." Maya laughed, sharp, unexpected. "At least she remembers your personality traits." "Fair point." They sat on the fountain's edge. Grant pulled out his phone, typed something, then put it away. "I'm supposed to be at an after-party right now. Board members, investors. My assistant sent 6 texts reminding me. I'm supposed to be securing meetings I'll never close. We're both terrible at our jobs tonight. Catastrophically terrible. The silence that followed didn't feel awkward. Maya studied his profile, the tension in his shoulders, the way he held himself like armor. She recognized it because she wore the same thing, just cheaper. "Why'd you really leave the gala?" she asked. Grant's jaw tightened. "Because I spent 2 hours listening to people tell me what I want to hear. You told me my offset program was theater. You're the first honest person I've met in months." That's depressing. Accurate. A group of late-night joggers passed, their laughter fading into darkness. Maya checked her phone. 12:47 a.m. She should go home. Tomorrow's Monday. Reports due. Boss expecting results. "I should," she started. "Stay," Grant interrupted. "Just a few more minutes." So she did. They talked about everything and nothing. His mother's impossible standards, Maya's student loans, the absurdity of truffle foam at charity dinners, the strange courage required to keep showing up when no one notices. At some point, Grant's knee pressed against hers. Neither of them moved away. When they finally stood to leave, Grant said, "Can I see you again?" Maya's heart did something complicated. "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Because you're Grant Whitaker, and I'm the person my boss calls Michelle." He stepped closer, not crowding, just present. "What if I don't care about that?" "Then you're lying, or delusional, or interested." The word hung between them like smoke. Maya wanted to believe it. She also knew better. Men like Grant Whitaker didn't date women like her. Women who took the subway, who wore borrowed dresses, who'd never been to the Hamptons. "If I give you my number," she said carefully, "will you actually use it?" Grant pulled out his phone. "Try me." She recited the digits. He typed them in, hit send. Her phone buzzed with a message. "This is Grant, proof of intent." Maya smiled despite herself. Smooth. Efficient. They walked back toward Fifth Avenue. At the corner where they'd part ways, Maya toward the subway, Grant toward a waiting town car. He touched her elbow. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "Being real." Then he was gone, sliding into black leather seats, the car pulling into late-night traffic. Maya stood on the sidewalk, phone warm in her hand, wondering if she'd just imagined the entire night. Her boss called at 8 a.m. the next morning. "Michelle, I need that Harrison update." Maya hung up, opened her contacts, and stared at Grant's name. She didn't text. Not yet. But she didn't delete the number either. 3 days later, white tulips arrived at her cubicle. 24, no card, just a note in clean handwriting. Proof of follow-through. The office went silent. Her coworker Jasmine whispered, "Who sent those?" Maya touched a petal. Soft, deliberate, expensive. "Someone who remembers my name." The rumor mill started immediately. Grant texted that evening. "Dinner tomorrow? Somewhere quiet." Maya stared at her phone for 10 minutes before replying. Define quiet. No photographers, no board members, just food and conversation. She met him at a small Italian place in the West Village, the kind with checkered tablecloths and handwritten menus. Grant wore jeans. Actual jeans. Maya almost laughed. You own casual clothes, she said, sliding into the booth. I contain multitudes. He poured water from a carafe, handed her a glass. How was your day? My boss finally learned my name. Took her 6 years and a flower delivery. Progress. Depressing progress. Maya studied the menu, hyper-aware of his attention. Why are we here, Grant? Because I'd like to have dinner with you. You could have dinner with anyone. I'm aware. The waiter appeared, older gentleman with an Italian accent that might have been real. Grant ordered in what sounded like fluent Italian. Maya ordered pasta, feeling outclassed. When they were alone again, Grant leaned forward. I'm not good at this, dating. My last relationship ended because I missed her birthday for a board meeting. The one before that ended because she sold our private conversations to Page 6. Maya set down her water. That's horrifying. It's context. He folded his hands on the table. Clean nails, no wedding ring, a small scar on his right knuckle. I don't trust easily. My mother's been parading suitable matches past me since I turned 30. Daughters of business partners. Women who photograph well. None of them looked at me the way you did on that balcony. How did I look at you? Like I was just a person, not a portfolio. The pasta arrived. They ate. Conversation flowed easier than it should. Maya talked about her environmental science degree. Grant about teaching himself to code at 14. He asked real questions. She gave real answers. Halfway through dessert, Grant said, I need to be honest about something. Maya's stomach tightened. Okay. If we do this, if we actually try this, it won't be private. I can control some things, but not gossip. Not tabloids. My mother will have opinions. People will assume you're with me for money. Are you warning me off? I'm giving you information. Maya pushed tiramisu around her plate. What if I can handle it? Can you? She met his eyes. I've been invisible for 6 years. Let them look. Something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe, or recognition. There's something else. Of course there is. Grant pulled a folded paper from his jacket. My lawyer insists on this. Standard protection. It's not personal. Maya unfolded it. Non-disclosure agreement. 3 pages. Legal language about privacy, public statements, social media. A clause about financial non-entanglement. Another about image rights. You're serious, she said. I have to be. She read every word. The contract was clinical. Cold. Everything their conversations weren't. At the bottom, a line for her signature. If I sign this, Maya said slowly, what exactly am I agreeing to? That our private life stays private? That you won't share details with press, social media, or third parties? That any gifts or financial arrangements are documented and separate from personal relationship dynamics? Romantic. Grant's jaw tightened. Necessary. I've been burned. Maya pulled a pen from her purse, the cheap kind from hotel lobbies. She signed her name, slid the paper across the table. There, she said. Now we're contractually obligated to have a private life. That's not how... I know how it works, Grant. I read the whole thing, including the part where you're protected if I turn out to be a gold digger. She finished her wine. For the record, I have $17,000 in student loans and a studio apartment in Queens. If I wanted money, I'd ask for a raise. He looked at her, really looked. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be better at trust. The waiter brought the check. Grant paid cash. Outside, the village glowed with bar lights and weekend crowds. They walked without destination. My mother wants to meet you, Grant said. When? Sunday brunch. Her townhouse. It's an inquisition disguised as Eggs Benedict. Maya laughed. Will there be witnesses? My sister Claire. She's a corporate attorney. She'll probably depose you between mimosas. Sounds delightful. Grant stopped under a street lamp. Brownstones towered around them. Windows lit with other people's lives. You can say no. Is that what you want? No. Then I'll come to brunch. He kissed her then, tentative, careful, like he was afraid she'd disappear. Maya kissed back, tasting tiramisu and possibility. When they pulled apart, Grant's guard had lowered just enough to show something raw underneath. "This is going to be complicated," he said. "Everything worth doing is." He called her a car, insisted on paying. Maya let him because arguing felt exhausting. As the car pulled away, she watched him through the back window, hands in pockets, watching her leave, looking like someone who'd forgotten how to be lonely. Her phone buzzed. Text from Grant. "Thank you for signing. And for staying." Maya typed back. "Thank you for the tulips. And for seeing me." She didn't add that she was terrified. That Sunday brunch with Elaine Whitaker sounded like walking into a firing squad. That signing an NDA for a second date was the strangest thing she'd ever done. But she'd been invisible long enough. If this story's pulling you in, hit subscribe and let us know in the comments. Have you ever had to prove yourself to someone's family? Drop your story below. Sunday arrived with rain. Maya stood outside Elaine Whitaker's Upper East Side townhouse, umbrella dripping, reconsidering every life choice. The building looked like old money incarnate. Limestone facade, black iron railings, window boxes full of seasonal flowers someone else maintained. Grant opened the door himself. "You came." "I said I would. People say a lot of things." He took her coat. "Fair warning, my mother's in full interrogation mode. Claire's pretending to be neutral, but she's taking notes." Comforting. The townhouse interior smelled like lilies and furniture polish, crown molding, oil paintings, a staircase that belonged in a museum. Maya heard voices from the dining room, feminine, sharp, layered with the kind of confidence that came from never doubting your place in the world. Elaine Whitaker stood when they entered. 60-something, silver hair and a flawless chignon. Pearls that probably cost more than Maya's car. Her handshake was firm, assessing. "Miss Collins, Grant speaks highly of you, does he?" Maya glanced at Grant. "I mentioned you work in environmental consulting," he said carefully. A younger woman rose from the table. Claire, Grant's sister, tailored pantsuit, sharp eyes, a smile that didn't reach her analysis. "Maya, I've heard interesting things." They sat. Brunch appeared. Eggs Benedict, mimosas, fruit arranged like art. Maya's hands felt clumsy holding the silver fork. Elaine opened with precision. "Grant mentioned you met at the Metropolitan Gala. What took you there?" "Work obligation. My boss needed representation." "And what exactly does EcoLink Consulting do?" Maya explained. "Corporate sustainability audits, carbon footprint analysis, renewable energy transition plans." She kept it simple, knowing Elaine was searching for something else. Status markers, family background, the answers to questions she was too polished to ask directly. "And your family?" Elaine continued. "Are they in New York?" "Pennsylvania. My mother's a retired teacher. My father passed when I was 12. A flicker of something crossed Elaine's face. Not quite sympathy. Calculation, maybe. She sipped her mimosa. "I'm sorry for your loss." Claire leaned forward. "Grant said you have a background in environmental science." "Which university?" "State school. Full scholarship." "Impressive." The word landed flat. Maya knew what Claire meant. Impressive for someone like you. She'd heard it her whole life. The subtle implication that her achievements were remarkable considering her starting point. Grant's hand found Maya's under the table. Brief touch, grounding. Conversation shifted to Grant's clean energy initiative, the thing Maya had actually wanted to discuss. Elaine mentioned a foundation board meeting. Claire brought up regulatory concerns. Maya listened, noted the gaps in their strategy. "If I may," she said during a lull, "your current offset model focuses on carbon credits, but you're missing thermal efficiency in your data centers. Industrial waste heat could power residential neighborhoods. There's a pilot program in Copenhagen." Elaine's eyebrow lifted. "You've researched this." "It's my field." "And you think Grant's current approach is insufficient?" "I think it's a start. It could be revolutionary." Grant squeezed her hand. Claire wrote something in her phone. Elaine studied Maya like she was a painting that didn't match the frame. "Tell me more about this Copenhagen program," Elaine said. So Maya did. She explained district heating systems, energy recapture technology, the economics of waste-to-power infrastructure. She cited numbers, sources, the policy framework required. Grant watched her with something between pride and surprise. When she finished, Elaine set down her fork. "You're well informed," I read. "Clearly." Elaine dabbed her mouth with a linen napkin. "Grant, why haven't you hired Miss Collins as a consultant?" "Because I'm trying to date her, not employ her." Grant said evenly. You could do both. That would violate the professional boundaries she signed an NDA to protect. Silence settled. Loaded. Significant. Claire's eyes widened slightly. Elaine's expression hardened. You asked her to sign an NDA for a personal relationship? Elaine's voice could have cut glass. Standard protection, Grant said. She understood, did she? Elaine turned to Maya. Did my son explain that such agreements are typically reserved for business transactions, not courtship? Maya felt the room's attention sharpen. This was the test, not the questions about school or family. This, whether she'd defend Grant or agree with his mother's implicit criticism. He explained the risks, Maya said carefully. Public exposure, privacy concerns, past relationships that ended badly. I signed because I understood those risks and decided they were worth it. Worth what exactly? Worth finding out if this is real. Elaine studied her. Maya didn't look away. Finally, the older woman's expression softened. Barely, but enough. Fair answer. Elaine stood. Claire, show Miss Collins the garden. I need a word with my son. Maya followed Claire through French doors to a terrace garden. Roses, ivy, wrought iron furniture. Rain had stopped. The city stretched beyond, all glass and steel and ambition. That went better than I expected, Claire said, lighting a cigarette. Did it? Mother usually eviscerates Grant's girlfriends by the appetizer course. You made it to coffee. Claire exhaled smoke. The Copenhagen thing was smart. She respects competence. I wasn't performing, I know. That's why it worked. Claire tapped ash into a decorative bowl. Advice lawyer to civilian, don't let Grant's walls intimidate you. He builds them high because people keep proving they can't be trusted. You climbed over. That scares him. Should I be scared? Probably. But you're here anyway, so I'm guessing you're braver than you look. Through the glass doors, Maya saw Grant and Elaine in conversation, his posture defensive, hers commanding. She couldn't hear words, but body language spoke volumes. Elaine gestured sharply. Grant's jaw set. Then Elaine did something unexpected. She touched Grant's face, brief, maternal, the kind of gesture that cracked through all the performance. He leaned into it for half a second before straightening. When they returned inside, Elaine poured more mimosas. Miss Collins, I'm hosting a clean energy symposium next month. Would you be interested in presenting your thermal efficiency research? Maya blinked. Seriously? I don't make frivolous offers. If you're going to be in my son's life, you might as well make yourself useful. Grant's expression was unreadable. Claire smirked into her drink. I'd be honored, Maya said. Excellent. Claire will send details. Elaine raised her glass. To new perspectives, they toasted. Maya felt Grant's hand find hers again, this time above the table, visible, claiming. When Elaine noticed, her lips curved. Not quite approval, but not disapproval either. Progress. The symposium happened 3 weeks later at the Columbia University Forum. Maya stood backstage, palms sweating, watching climate scientists and policymakers fill the auditorium. Her presentation was sandwiched between a UN advisor and a Tesla engineer. She'd rewritten her slides 17 times. Grant found her in the green room. You'll be brilliant. You don't know that. I've read your research twice. He adjusted her lapel mic, gentle, precise. Breathe. They're here to learn, not judge. Easy for you to say. You keynoted this thing last year. And I was terrified. Maya looked at him. Really? Threw up in a trash can 10 minutes before stage time. Claire has photos. She laughed despite the nerves. Grant's presence felt like an anchor, steady, certain. He'd spent the last 3 weeks texting her articles, calling late to talk through data, showing up at her cubicle with coffee and questions. Her coworkers had stopped pretending not to stare. Miss Collins? A production assistant appeared. You're on in 5. Grant kissed her forehead. Show them what thermal efficiency really means. She walked on stage to polite applause. The lights were harsh. She found Grant in the 3rd row, next to his mother, who wore an expression of clinical interest. Claire sat beside her, phone out, recording. Maya clicked to her first slide. Good afternoon. I'm Maya Collins, and I'm here to talk about the energy we throw away. She walked them through it. Industrial waste heat, district heating infrastructure, the Copenhagen model she'd cited at brunch. She showed cost projections, environmental impact studies, case studies from Finland and Denmark. She kept her language clear, her examples concrete. When she mentioned Grant's data centers, she didn't soften the criticism. Current offset models are band-aids. Real change requires redesigning systems from the ground up. The audience leaned forward. Questions came rapid-fire during Q&A. A MIT professor challenged her cost analysis. Maya countered with updated figures and a reference to Iceland's geothermal programs. A venture capitalist asked about scalability. She'd prepared 3 scenarios. Elaine Whitaker raised her hand. "Miss Collins, what would you need to pilot this in New York?" Maya hadn't expected that. Partnership with city utilities, access to industrial facilities, funding for infrastructure installation, community buy-in from target neighborhoods. Ballpark budget, 12 to 15 million for a proof of concept, 2 years to full implementation. And if you had those resources? Maya glanced at Grant. He nodded, slight, encouraging. "I'd start in the South Bronx, high energy costs, dense population, industrial capacity. Proof that green tech can serve communities, not just corporations." Applause erupted. Genuine, sustained. Maya's hands shook as she left the stage. Grant met her in the wings. 12 million, he said. It was a hypothetical. What if it wasn't? Before Maya could answer, reporters surrounded them. Phones out, questions flying. "Mr. Whitaker, are you funding Miss Collins's proposal? Is this a professional partnership or personal? How long have you been seeing each other?" Grant's hand found Maya's elbow. "No comment on personal matters. Professionally, Miss Collins presented compelling research. We're exploring all viable clean energy initiatives." A photographer's flash went off. Maya blinked, disoriented. More questions, louder now. Grant guided her toward the exit, his security detail materializing from nowhere. 2 men in dark suits, earpieces, efficient choreography. They made it to his car. Inside, leather seats and sudden silence. "That's going to be online in an hour," Maya said. "Probably sooner. Your mother set me up. She created an opportunity. You executed it." Grant loosened his tie. "That question about resources, she's testing whether you can deliver under pressure. Did I pass?" "You got a standing ovation from people who don't give standing ovations." Maya's phone exploded with notifications. Her boss, "Call me now." "Jasmine. You're on Twitter, OMG. Unknown numbers, friend requests, LinkedIn messages." She turned the phone face down. "This is the part you warned me about," she said. "Yes. I'm not sure I was ready." Grant shifted to face her. "Do you want out? Right now, before it gets worse, I can have my PR team issue a statement. We met professionally. We're exploring clean energy collaboration, nothing personal. You disappear back to your life." Maya considered it. The easy exit. Return to invisibility, to safety, to a cubicle where nobody knew her name. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want you to have dinner with me tonight, and tomorrow, and the day after that." His voice went quiet. "But not if it costs you your peace." "I haven't had peace in years." "Then what have you had?" "Absence, quiet, the luxury of being nobody." She met his eyes. "Maybe I'm tired of that luxury." Grant's driver pulled up to a coffee shop, Park Slope, deliberately unglamorous. They went inside, ordered at the counter like normal people. A barista recognized Grant, went wide-eyed, fumbled the change. Maya watched him handle it with practiced grace. Autograph on a napkin, polite photo, back to their table before the espresso cooled. "Does that ever stop?" Maya asked. "The recognition?" "No, the discomfort." "Eventually." He stirred sugar into his coffee. "Claire says I should hire you." "As what?" "Clean energy consultant. Proper contract, market salary, equity stake if the pilot succeeds." Maya's chest tightened. "That would change everything. It would protect you. Professional relationship, documented collaboration. Harder for people to claim you're just the billionaire's girlfriend." "Is that what I am?" Grant's hand covered hers on the table. "I don't know yet. But I'd like to find out without you losing your career in the process." Her phone buzzed again. This time her mother. "Sweetheart, someone sent me a YouTube link." "Is that really you?" Maya closed her eyes. "It's already on YouTube. Fame moves fast," Grant said. "The question is whether we move faster." We'll find out what Maya decides next. But first, subscribe and tell us in the comments. Would you take the job or keep the relationship separate? Drop your take below. Maya signed the consulting contract on a Tuesday. Grant's attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia who wore Louboutins and carried a Mont Blanc, walked her through every clause. 20-hour-a-week commitment. 6-month initial term. 80,000 base plus performance bonuses. Equity vesting if the pilot met metrics. This is more than I make in a year, Maya said. It's market rate for what we're asking, Patricia replied. Mr. Whitaker insisted we don't lowball you. His words Maya signed. 3 days later, she gave notice at Echolink. Her boss, who'd finally learned to call her Maya, looked stunned. You're leaving for Apex Tech? Consulting project. Clean energy. Because of Grant Whitaker. Because of the work. Her boss's expression curdled. Be careful. Men like that collect smart women like Art. When they're done looking, they donate you to charity. Maya cleaned out her cubicle that afternoon. 6 years in a cardboard box, coffee mug, stress ball, a plant that had died 3 winters ago. Jasmine helped carry it to her car. You're really doing this, Jasmine said. I'm really doing this. You know people are going to talk. They're already talking. Jasmine hugged her, tight, fierce. Then make them talk about how brilliant you are, not just who you're sleeping with. Maya's first day at Apex Tech felt like arriving on another planet. Corner office with a skyline view. Assistant named Marcus who brought Ethiopian coffee and asked about her preferred meeting style. Budget access. Data analysts. Engineers who actually read her emails. Grant kept professional distance. They communicated through Marcus, through project channels, through conference calls with his mother's foundation board. In meetings, he called her Miss Collins. She called him Mr. Whitaker. The formality felt like performance art. But after hours, in his penthouse apartment overlooking Central Park, he was just Grant. They'd order Thai food, spread blueprints across his dining table, argue about thermal conductivity until midnight. He'd kiss her between calculations. She'd steal his reading glasses to make a point about heat exchange ratios. This is working, he said one night, 4th glass of wine, her feet in his lap. The project or us? Both. The pilot launched in November. South Bronx, like Maya had proposed. They partnered with a community development corporation, the city's utility commission, and a local church that agreed to host the first installation. Press conference, hard hats. Politicians eager to stand near Grant Whitaker and claim progressive credentials. Maya presented technical specs to reporters who mostly wanted to know if she and Grant were official. She deflected. He deflected. Marcus issued a statement. Mr. Whitaker and Miss Collins maintain a professional working relationship focused on sustainable energy outcomes. Nobody believed it. The installation took 3 weeks. Maya spent long days on site, in work boots and a safety vest, talking with engineers, checking welds, reviewing electrical systems. The neighborhood watched with suspicion. Why was a billionaire's company here? What was the catch? What would they lose? Maya met with residents. Living rooms, church basements, kitchen tables. She explained the program in plain language, no corporate jargon, no greenwashing. This captures waste heat from the industrial facility 2 blocks over. Turns it into power for your homes. Cuts your energy bills by 30 to 40%. You pay what you can afford. Nobody gets evicted if the math doesn't work. An older woman named Mrs. Chen asked, "What happens when you leave?" "We're building it to last. Training local technicians. Creating jobs. This isn't charity, it's infrastructure." "And your boyfriend?" "The rich one?" Maya didn't flinch. "He's funding it. I'm designing it. The community owns it." Mrs. Chen studied her. "You different from the last developers who came through?" "I hope so." The system went live on Thanksgiving. Maya stood in Mrs. Chen's living room watching the meter. Digital readout showing reduced consumption, lower costs, heat flowing from waste that would have polluted the atmosphere. Mrs. Chen touched the radiator, then the wall, feeling warmth she could afford. "It works," she said. "It works," Maya confirmed. Grant arrived with his PR team, photos, quotes, controlled narrative. But Maya noticed something else. When cameras weren't looking, he talked with residents, asked real questions, listened to answers. He stood in Mrs. Chen's kitchen drinking instant coffee, discussing heating bills with the kind of attention most people reserved for board meetings. Outside, a reporter cornered Maya. "Miss Collins, critics say this pilot is just Mr. Whitaker's attempt to rehabilitate his image after the Cambridge Analytica data breach last year. Any comment?" Maya froze. "What breach?" The reporter blinked. "You didn't know?" Apex Tech sold user data to Cambridge Analytica in 2023. It was a whole scandal. Settlements, lawsuits, congressional hearings. Maya's mind raced. She'd researched Grant's company. Sustainability reports, financial statements, technology patents. She'd never looked for scandals. Never thought to. Grant appeared at her elbow. No further questions. We're here to discuss the pilot program, not unrelated past issues that have been legally resolved. The reporter smirked. But Miss Collins works for you now. Doesn't she deserve to know about her employer's history? Miss Collins has access to all relevant information about current operations, Grant said evenly. If you'll excuse us, he guided Maya inside. She pulled away. We need to talk, she said, not here. Then where? His jaw tightened. Somewhere private. They drove back to Manhattan in silence. Marcus tried small talk. Grant shut it down. Maya stared at her phone, searching. Apex Tech Cambridge Analytica. The results were damning. User data sold without consent. Targeted political advertising. $1 million settlements. Grant testifying before Congress with the expression of a man being flayed alive. How had she missed this? At his penthouse, Grant poured scotch. Maya stayed standing. Talk, she said. He drank. It happened in 2023. Before my time as CEO, my predecessor made the deal. I inherited the lawsuits when I took over. Spent 2 years cleaning up the mess. Settlements cost us $600 million. We rebuilt privacy protocols from scratch. It's done. Why didn't you tell me? Because it's resolved. I thought, he stopped. I thought if you knew, you'd see me as just another tech villain. I wanted you to see the work we're doing now. By hiding the past? By not leading with my worst moment, Maya sat heavily. I signed an NDA, I took a job. I presented to your mother's foundation. Everyone in that room knew except me. I was going to tell you. When? When I trusted you wouldn't leave. The honesty cut deeper than the omission. Maya thought about the NDA, the contract, the careful professional distance they'd maintained for cameras. Every boundary designed to protect Grant, not her. I need to think, she said. Maya, alone. She took a car service home. Sat in her Queens studio watching the city through smudged windows. Her phone buzzed. Grant, 4 texts she didn't read. Claire, 1 message she did. He's terrified. Talk to him. Maya opened her laptop. Searched deeper. Found the congressional testimony. Grant in a suit under oath admitting failure. I inherited a system designed to exploit user trust. I take full responsibility for not catching it sooner. We're implementing comprehensive reforms. He'd looked destroyed. Young, overwhelmed, carrying someone else's sins. She also found the aftermath. Privacy advocates praising Apex Tech's new protocols. Independent audits confirming changes. Competitor companies still fighting similar lawsuits while Grant's had settled and reformed. He'd cleaned it up. Made it right. But he'd still hidden it from her. At 2 a.m. Maya called her mother. I need advice. Sweetheart, it's late, I know. But you always know what to do. She explained everything. The gala, the contract, the pilot, the scandal. Her mother listened without interrupting. The way she'd listened to Maya's childhood disasters and college heartbreaks. Do you love him? Her mother asked. I don't know yet. Do you trust him? I want to. Then ask yourself, did he lie or did he wait for the right moment? Because timing matters, baby. Some truths need trust first. Maya hung up, stared at her ceiling. Thought about Grant's face when he'd said, when I trusted you wouldn't leave. She texted, we need to talk. Tomorrow. No Marcus, no lawyers. Just us. His reply came instantly, anywhere, anytime. They met at Grant's apartment Sunday afternoon. Rain hammered against floor-to-ceiling windows. The city disappeared into gray, muted private. Grant answered the door in jeans and a wrinkled Oxford. No armor, no performance. Thank you for coming, he said. Maya walked past him to the windows. I read everything. Congressional testimony. Settlement documents. User testimonies. All of it, and you fixed it. But you still hid it from me. Grant moved to stand beside her. Not touching, just present. My father built Apex Tech. Brilliant engineer, terrible ethicist. He sold the Cambridge Analytica data because he saw users as resources, not people. When he died, heart attack, boardroom, 72 years old, I inherited a company rotting from the inside. How old were you? 28. Just finished my MBA. I thought I was ready. He laughed without humor. I wasn't. I spent the first year firefighting lawsuits, the second year rebuilding systems, the third year testifying, settling, bleeding money. My mother wanted me to declare bankruptcy, start over with a clean slate. I refused. Why? Because the victims deserved accountability, not escape. And because I needed to prove I wasn't my father. Maya turned to face him. You think hiding your past proves that? I think my past doesn't define my present. But yes, I should have told you sooner. He exhaled slowly. I was scared. Every woman I've dated since Cambridge Analytica has either used it against me or used me for damage control. You looked at me like I was just a person and I wanted to keep that as long as possible. I'm not every woman. I know that now. Rain streaked the windows. Maya watched water blur the city into something abstract, impressionistic. Show me something real, not the version you give reporters or board members, something that costs you to share. Grant hesitated. Then he walked to his study, returned with a small wooden box. Inside a USB drive, a printed email, a hospital bracelet. My father's last email to me, he said, handing her the paper. The text was brief. Grant, numbers don't lie, but people do. Trust data. Never trust hearts. Build accordingly. Charming, Maya said. He sent it 3 hours before he died. I've read it maybe 1,000 times, trying to decide if he was warning me or cursing me. Grant picked up the hospital bracelet. This was mine. I was 16, suicide attempt. Pills too many in the bathroom after he told me I'd never be good enough to run his company. Maya's breath caught. Grant, I'm fine now. Therapy, medication, years of work. But that's why I don't trust easily. Why I build walls. Why I needed you to sign an NDA before I could risk being hurt again. He held up the USB drive. This has every file from the Cambridge Analytica case. Attorney-client privilege, internal memos, my father's emails ordering the sale. I'm giving you access. If you want to destroy me, it's all here. Why would I want to destroy you? Because I hid the truth. Because I'm damaged. Because trusting me is a risk. Maya took the USB drive. Held it like evidence, which it was. Then she set it down on the coffee table. I don't need to read your files to know who you are. I've watched you work. I've seen how you treat your team. How you showed up when my mom had a stroke. She stopped. Wait, I never told you about that. Grant's expression shifted. Last month, you missed 3 days of work. I called your cell, you didn't answer. I was worried. So you what, investigated me? I called hospitals. Found out she'd had a stroke, was at Mount Sinai. I came. Maya's mind spun back. The ICU, fluorescent lights, her mother's shallow breathing. A man in the waiting room who'd brought coffee. Sat for an hour without speaking. Left when Maya's aunt arrived. She'd been too exhausted to question it. That was you? You needed someone to stay. I stayed. You didn't tell me. You didn't need to know. You needed someone present, not someone who'd turn your crisis into a relationship test. He moved closer. That's the difference between what my father taught me and what I actually believe. Data shows patterns. People show character. I chose character. Maya felt something crack open in her chest. The careful distance she'd maintained, the suspicion, the walls she'd built to match his. How's my mom now? He asked quietly. Good. Back home. Physical therapy 3 times a week. She asks about you. What do you tell her? That you're complicated. That I'm still figuring you out. Maya touched his face, rough stubble, tension in his jaw. That I think you're worth the work. Grant kissed her then. Not tentative like before, but certain, like he'd decided to risk everything. Maya kissed back, tasting vulnerability and trust in all the ways they'd been circling this moment for months. When they pulled apart, Grant said, I need to tell you something else. Of course you do. My mother's offering to fund the full South Bronx expansion. $30 million. But there's a condition. Maya stepped back. Let me guess, I prove I'm not with you for money? She wants you to present to the foundation board independently, without me there. She's convinced you're using me for career access. If you can sell the vision on your own, she'll write the check. When? 3 weeks. Foundation Gala. Black-tie donors press. She'll ask questions designed to expose you if you're faking competence. Maya laughed, sharp, almost bitter. Your family's exhausting. Yes, but the work matters. Yes. She thought about Mrs. Chen's living room, the warmth she could finally afford, the neighborhood watching to see if this project would be different from all the others that had promised and failed. $30 million could change hundreds of lives, or it could be another billionaire's vanity project, another story about a woman using a man to climb. I'll do it, Maya said. On one condition. Name it, no more secrets. If there's something in your past or present that I should know, you tell me. Before I find out from a reporter or your mother or a congressional hearing YouTube clip. Grant extended his hand. Deal, they shook. Formal, absurd, perfect. Then he pulled her close again and Maya let herself sink into it. The warmth, the risk, the terrifying possibility that this might actually work. Outside, rain turned to sleet. They ordered Indian food, spread out on his couch with laptops and presentation drafts. Maya built slides while Grant made notes, their knees touching, working in the kind of comfortable silence that only came after truth. At midnight, Marcus texted, "Media's reporting you two are engaged. Want me to deny?" Grant showed Maya the message. "What do you want to say?" "That we're figuring it out. One honest conversation at a time," he typed. "No comment on personal relationship status. Focus on the work." Maya's phone buzzed. Her mother. "Sweetheart, someone saying you're engaged?" "Is it true?" She replied, "Not yet." "Maybe never. But I'm happy. Isn't that enough?" Her mother sent back a heart emoji and the words, "More than enough." "I'm proud of you," Grant read over her shoulder. "Your mom's cooler than mine. She's a retired teacher. Low bar. Still." They fell asleep there. Maya's head on his chest, his hand in her hair, sleet tapping against windows, the city glittering with its million unfinished stories. When Maya woke at dawn, Grant was still holding her. "Awake watching what?" she asked, "just memorizing this, in case it's the last peaceful moment we get for a while. Optimistic, realistic." He kissed her forehead. "Ready for the next test?" "Do I have a choice?" "Not really." "Then let's get it over with. If you're invested in Maya and Grant's story, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Have you ever had to prove yourself to win someone's trust? Share your experience below. The 3 weeks passed in controlled chaos. Maya built her presentation, rehearsed until words lost meaning, then rebuilt it simpler. Grant stayed strategically absent. No notes, no input, creating distance to prove Maya's independence. They texted late at night. "How's it going?" "Terrifying. You?" "Missing you." "Same." The South Bronx pilot exceeded projections. Energy costs dropped 42% in target homes. Residents reported better heat, lower bills, actual savings. Mrs. Chen became an unofficial spokesperson, granting interviews, showing reporters her utility statements, telling anyone who'd listen that the girl with the clipboard had kept her promises. Local news covered it, then regional, then national. Bloomberg ran a feature. Can thermal efficiency bridge the climate justice gap? Maya's inbox exploded with interview requests, consulting offers, universities asking her to guest lecture. Her old boss from EcoLink called. "Michelle, sorry Maya, I was wrong about you. If you ever want to come back..." "I won't," Maya said, and hung up. Grant sent flowers, white tulips again, with a note. Still just proof of follow-through. The foundation gala arrived cold and clear. December in Manhattan, air sharp enough to hurt, city dressed in holiday lights. Maya stood in her studio apartment staring at the dress Grant's stylist had sent. Emerald silk, simple cut, probably cost more than her rent. She put it on, feeling like an imposter. Her mother called from Pennsylvania. "You look beautiful, baby. I can tell from your voice." "How can you tell from my voice?" "Because you sound terrified and determined, which means you're about to do something brave." Maya laughed. "I'm presenting to a room full of billionaires about why they should fund poor neighborhoods. Then show them what I already know. You're the smartest person in any room, even when they don't see it yet." The gala was at the plaza, gold leaf, crystal chandeliers, women in gowns that belonged in museums. Maya checked in, got a name tag, tried not to feel like she was crashing someone else's life. The ballroom buzzed with conversation. Donors, philanthropists, board members who moved through charity work like corporate strategy. Elaine Whitaker stood near the stage. Silver gown, posture that commanded gravity. She spotted Maya and approached. "Miss Collins, you look well." "Thank you, Mrs. Whitaker." "Nervous?" "Appropriately." Elaine's lips curved, not quite a smile. "Good, nerves mean you care. Grant tells me he stayed out of your preparation." "Completely." "That must have been difficult for him. He likes to control variables." Elaine studied Maya like she was calculating yield projections. "I have a question before you present." "Of course, then why are you really here?" The truth, not the PR version. Maya met her gaze. Because your son sees things wrong and actually tries to fix them. Because this work matters more than my ego. And because if I fail tonight, I'd rather fail trying than succeed by playing it safe. Elaine held her look for 5 long seconds, then nodded. I'll ask harder questions than that during your presentation. I'm counting on it, Claire appeared, champagne in hand. Mother, stop terrorizing Grant's girlfriend before she presents. I'm assessing competence and you're hazing her. There's a difference. Claire handed Maya a glass. Liquid courage. You'll need it. The presentation started at 8. Maya stood backstage, slides loaded, hands steady through sheer force of will. She watched other presenters, medical research, education reform, water access initiatives. All important. All presented by people who looked like they belonged here. Then her name. Next we have Maya Collins presenting Clear Heat, a pilot program addressing energy poverty through thermal recapture technology. Maya walked on stage. Lights, faces, silence. She found Grant in the audience, back row, arms crossed, expression carefully neutral. Beside him, his mother, phone out, recording. Claire gave a small nod, Maya began. 3 months ago, I met Mrs. Chen in the South Bronx. Her heating bill was $400 a month. She kept her thermostat at 62 to afford groceries. She told me she'd gotten used to being cold. She walked them through it, not with jargon, but with stories. Mr. Patterson, who could finally afford his grandkids' birthday presents. The Rodriguez family, who stopped choosing between heat and medication. The church that became a community hub when energy costs dropped enough to keep lights on past 6 p.m. Then the technical specs, thermal efficiency rates, infrastructure costs, scalability models. She showed Copenhagen, Helsinki, small successful programs proving large-scale possibility. She presented budget breakdowns, explaining exactly where $30 million would go. Equipment, installation, training, maintenance, community ownership structures. Elaine's hand went up. Miss Collins, how do we ensure this isn't just subsidizing poverty rather than solving it? We're not giving handouts, Mrs. Whitaker. We're fixing broken systems. Waste heat exists whether we capture it or not. Right now it pollutes. We're turning pollution into power and giving communities ownership of infrastructure. That's not subsidy, it's justice. Another board member. What's the return on investment? Financially? Modest. Socially? Transformative. If we only fund projects with high ROI, we're not doing philanthropy. We're doing venture capital with better optics. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Grant's expression hadn't changed, but his posture had. Leaning forward, engaged. A woman in the front row. What makes you qualified to run a $30 million initiative? Maya had expected this. I have an environmental science degree, 6 years of corporate consulting experience, and 3 months of proof that my designs work. But if you're asking whether I have the pedigree of most people in this room, no, I don't. I come from a Pennsylvania public school and a state university. My mother's a retired teacher. I took the subway here tonight, silence, sharp, assessing. What I do have, Maya continued, is the ability to talk to Mrs. Chen in language she understands and deliver results she can verify. I've spent my career being underestimated. I've learned to work twice as hard for half the credit. If you fund this project, you're not betting on credentials. You're betting on proven outcomes and community trust. More silence. Then Elaine started clapping. Slow, deliberate. The room joined, hesitant at first, then genuine. Maya finished her presentation, took questions for 20 minutes, and walked off stage feeling like she'd run a marathon. Grant met her in the hallway. You were perfect. I was honest, and same thing. He pulled her into an alcove, away from cameras and witnesses. I've never been more attracted to you than when you told that donor he was confusing philanthropy with venture capital. Your mother's going to hate me. My mother started the applause. Before Maya could respond, Elaine appeared. Miss Collins, a word. Grant stepped back. Maya followed Elaine to a quieter corridor. Marble floors, oil paintings, the kind of space designed for private negotiations. You were impressive, Elaine said. Authentic, competent, unintimidated. The board will approve the funding. Maya exhaled. Thank you. Don't thank me. You earned it. Elaine's expression softened. Barely. I need to tell you something about my son. Okay. When Grant took over Apex Tech, he was drowning. His father's legacy, the lawsuits, the pressure to be perfect. I watched him work 18-hour days, lose 20 pounds, stop sleeping. He was destroying himself trying to prove he wasn't his father. Why are you telling me this? Because you're the first person he's let help him. Not fix him, not save him, help him. That terrifies me, Miss Collins. Not because I don't trust you, but because if you leave, I don't know if he survives it. Maya felt the weight of that confession. I'm not planning to leave. Plans change. Feelings shift. I need to know, are you in this for him or for what he can give you? Both, Maya said honestly. I love the work. I love the resources to do it right. But I also love that he shows up at hospitals without needing credit, that he listens when I talk, that he's still learning how to trust and he's chosen to practice with me. Elaine studied her for a long moment. Fair answer. She opened her clutch, pulled out a check. 30 million. Made out to Clear Heat Initiative, not Apex Tech. This is your project, Miss Collins. Don't waste it. Maya took the check with shaking hands. I won't. And Miss Collins, when you hurt my son, not if, but when, because relationships hurt, do it with honesty. He can survive pain. He can't survive lies. Yes, ma'am. Elaine walked away, heels clicking on marble. Maya stared at the check. $30 million, her signature required, her responsibility now. She found Grant back in the ballroom, accepting congratulations from donors who'd ignored Maya 10 minutes earlier. She showed him the check. We did it. You did it? No, we. She folded the check, put it in her purse. Your mother just gave me the most terrifying pep talk of my life. What did she say? That I'm allowed to hurt you but not allowed to lie. Grant's expression went complex. Relief, fear, something tender underneath. She's warming to you. That's warm? For her, that's practically adoption papers. They left together, Grant's hand on her back, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions they ignored. Outside, December cold hit like a wall. Grant's car waited, but he walked past it. Where are we going? Maya asked. Nowhere important. Everywhere important, he took her hand. I need to tell you something, and I need to do it while we're walking so I don't lose my nerve. They walked toward Central Park, the same route they'd taken the night they met full circle. The trees were bare now, skeletal against streetlights. I'm bad at this, Grant said. Feelings, declarations, romance. My last girlfriend left because I worked through our anniversary. The one before that said I treated emotions like Excel spreadsheets. You kinda do. I know. It's a problem. He stopped under a street lamp, turned to face her. But I'm trying to get better. And I need you to know, this isn't about the project. It's not about proving my company isn't evil. It's about the fact that I wake up thinking about you and I go to sleep thinking about you, and every moment in between is just waiting to see you again. Maya's breath caught. Grant, I love you. Inefficiently, imperfectly, with terrible timing and worse execution. But I love you, and I'm asking if you'll let me keep trying to be better at this. The city glittered around them. Christmas lights, traffic, a million people living their own stories. Maya thought about all the ways this could fail, all the risks she'd taken, all the moments she'd chosen courage over safety. I love you too, she said, even though you're terrible at declarations. Especially despite. Grant kissed her, soft, reverent, like he was memorizing the moment. When they pulled apart, snow started falling. Tiny flakes, barely visible, turning the city into something softer than it deserved. What happens now? Maya asked. Now we build something real. Together. That sounds like work. Good thing we're both excellent at working. They walked home through snow, hands intertwined, and Maya realized she'd stopped feeling invisible. Not because Grant saw her, though he did, but because she'd finally started seeing herself. The problem started with a leaked email. Maya was in the South Bronx meeting with contractors about the expansion when her phone exploded. 37 calls in 5 minutes. Marcus, Claire, Grant, numbers she didn't recognize. She excused herself from the meeting, stepped outside into January cold. Claire's text came through first. Check Twitter. Now, don't panic. Maya checked. The top trending topic, Tracker and Clear Heat scandal. The tweet had gone viral in under an hour. A screenshot of an email, Grant to his CFO, dated 2 months earlier. Prioritize Clear Heat optics. Need positive press before Q4 earnings. Collins is the perfect face, smart, credible, not obviously connected to me. Use her? Maya's stomach dropped. She scrolled. More tweets. Journalists picking it apart. Speculation about her relationship, her credentials, whether the entire pilot was staged. Someone had dug up her Ecolink employment history, claiming she'd been fired. Another thread suggested Grant had paid her to present at the gala. Her phone rang. Grant. "Don't believe it," he said immediately. "That email's out of context." "What context makes that okay?" "Maya, listen, you said she was the perfect face. Like I'm a prop. That's not what I meant. I was explaining to my CFO why funding the pilot made business sense. I had to frame it in terms he'd approve. By reducing me to optics?" Grant's silence said everything. Maya hung up. Checked her messages, reporters requesting comment, friends asking if she was okay, her mother. "Baby, what's happening?" She didn't know how to answer. Marcus called. "Maya, we need to get ahead of this. Statement, press conference, something. Who leaked it? We don't know yet. It's investigating. But whoever it was had access to Grant's executive email server, so someone internal. Or someone who paid someone internal. Tech media's cutthroat. You and Grant have been too perfect. People were waiting for a scandal." Maya walked back inside the church where the meeting had been. Mrs. Chen sat in the front pew, phone out, face worried. "Is it true?" she asked. "Was this whole thing fake?" "No, the technology works. The results are real. But you and Mr. Whitaker, you're together. You're on his payroll. How do I know you're not just making rich people feel good about themselves?" Maya sat beside her. "You know, because your heating bill dropped from $400 to $230. Because the equipment's installed and working. Because we trained your nephew Darren to maintain it so you're not dependent on us." Mrs. Chen's expression softened. "That's true. The relationship's complicated. But the work isn't fake." "Then why does it feel like we're about to lose it?" That was the question. Maya checked news sites. Speculation building, donors reportedly reconsidering their commitments. Elaine Whitaker declining comment. The $30 million check suddenly felt fragile. Grant showed up an hour later. Maya was still at the church helping organize a community response meeting. He walked in looking like he hadn't slept, tie loosened, hair disheveled. "We need to talk," he said. "Now you want to talk?" "Maya, please." She followed him outside. The South Bronx looked tired in winter light. Gray buildings, dirty snow, people moving through cold with practiced efficiency. Grant's security waited by his car, giving them space. "I'm sorry," Grant said. "That email was wrong. I shouldn't have framed it that way, even internally." "But you did, which means part of you thinks that way." "No, yes." Maya's voice cracked. "I'm the perfect face. Not the perfect partner. Not the brilliant consultant, the face, like all those donors who congratulated you instead of me. That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair? I spent 6 years being invisible. Then you saw me and I thought, finally, someone who values my brain, not my utility. But that email says you saw me like everyone else, useful." Grant flinched. "I was pitching my CFO. He speaks in metrics and ROI. I translated what we were doing into language he'd approve. It was strategic and I was the strategy. You're twisting this, am I? Because right now the internet thinks I'm your charity project. My credibility's destroyed. Mrs. Chen just asked if this was all fake. And the worst part? I can't even be sure she's wrong. Of course she's wrong. You built this. You designed every system. You earned that check from my mother. Did I? Or did I earn it because I'm sleeping with her son and it made good optics?" The words landed like a slap. Grant stepped back. "You think that's why she funded you?" "I don't know what to think anymore." A news van pulled up, local station, cameras out. A reporter approached. "Miss Collins, any comment on the leaked email suggesting Mr. Whitaker used you for PR?" Grant's security stepped between them. "No comment. Private property, but the damage was visible. More vans arriving, reporters setting up. Neighborhood residents watching with expressions somewhere between sympathy and suspicion." The project Maya had built with evidence and care was becoming tabloid fodder. "We should issue a joint statement," Grant said. "United front. That makes it worse. Proves we're coordinated. Then what do you want to do?" Maya looked at him, really looked. The man she'd fallen for. The man who'd shown up at hospitals and learned her mother's name and kissed her like she was the only real thing in a city of illusions. But also the man who'd written that email. Who'd calculated her value in terms of optics, who'd built walls so high he sometimes forgot which side she was on. "I want space," she said, "to figure out if this is real or if I've been performing for your audience too. Maya, go home. Grant, let me clean up this mess without making it about us. It is about us, then maybe that's the problem." She walked back into the church. Behind her, she heard Grant's car door close, engine start, tires on wet pavement. Mrs. Chen met her at the door. "What are you going to do?" she asked. Maya pulled out her phone, opened voice notes. "Hit record. My name is Maya Collins. 3 months ago, I designed a thermal efficiency program for the South Bronx. The technology works. The results are verifiable. My relationship with Grant Whitaker is complicated. We're together, yes, and I work for his company. But this project exists because communities deserve better systems, not because a billionaire needed good press." She sent the recording to Marcus. "Post this. My personal accounts. No corporate filter." "That's not protocol," Marcus said. "I don't care about protocol. I care about truth." The recording went live at 4 p.m. Within an hour, it had 50,000 views. Comments split. Half calling her brave, half calling her naive. Everyone having opinions about her life. Maya turned off her phone. That night, alone in her apartment, she pulled out the USB drive Grant had given her. The one with all the Cambridge Analytica files. She'd never looked. Never needed to. Trust had felt like enough. Now she opened it. The files were damning, not of Grant, but of his father. Emails ordering the data sale. Internal memos dismissing privacy concerns. Grant's messages as new CEO trying to stop deals already signed. And then Grant's testimony to Congress, raw and unedited, admitting failure and promising reform. At the bottom of the folder, a document titled, "For Maya, context I should have given you first." She opened it. Grant's writing dated the night he'd given her the drive. "If you're reading this, I probably hurt you. I'm good at that, hurting people by hiding parts of myself I think they can't handle. My father taught me that vulnerability is weakness. Therapy's teaching me different. You're teaching me different. But I'm slow to learn, so here's what you need to know. Yes, I framed Clear Heat in business terms to my CFO, because that's how I secure budget. But I didn't build it for optics. I built it because you showed me waste heat in Copenhagen, and your eyes lit up talking about justice. And I wanted to see that look become real. You're not the perfect face. You're the perfect mind, the perfect conscience, the perfect challenge to my worst instincts. If I ever reduce you to utility, call me on it. Loudly, I'm trying to be better. But I'm still learning which walls to tear down," Maya cried. Not graceful tears, ugly, frustrated, confused crying. She loved him. She was furious with him. Both felt true. Her phone buzzed. One text breaking through her do not disturb settings. Her mother. "Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you. Love isn't easy. Worth is." Maya wrote back. "How do you know if someone's worth the work?" Her mother's response. "When they're doing the work too. Not just asking you to carry it alone." Maya stared at her phone. Thought about Grant's testimony. His hospital visit, his messy declarations. The work he was doing, imperfect and slow. Then she thought about the email. The calculation. The gap between who he wanted to be and who he sometimes still was. She didn't know which version would win. Should Maya forgive Grant or walk away? Subscribe and comment below. What would you do if someone you loved reduced you to strategy? Maya didn't answer Grant's calls for 3 days. She went to work. Not his penthouse office, but the South Bronx site. Wearing jeans and boots, avoiding anything that looked like she belonged to his world. The expansion continued because the work mattered more than her broken heart. But the media didn't stop. Page 6 ran a headline. "Billionaire's Pet Project, Love or PR Stunt?" A tech blog published an analysis of Apex Tech's stock price, noting it had climbed 8% since the Gala. The implication was clear. Maya Collins was worth millions in positive press. Her professional email flooded with new messages. Half were supportive. Half suggested she'd slept her way into relevance. One, from a Columbia professor she'd admired, hurt most. "Disappointed to see you compromised your credibility for access. Expected better." Maya drafted 17 responses. Sent none. The foundation board called an emergency meeting without her. Marcus delivered the news. "They're reviewing the funding. Some donors are threatening to pull out. They want assurance the project isn't compromised by personal conflicts of interest." "The project works," Maya said. "The data proves it. Data doesn't matter if the narrative's toxic." Marcus looked exhausted. Grant's trying to contain it, but his lawyer's advising against public statements. "Everything he says makes it worse. Then what should I do?" "Take a leave of absence. Let this blow over." Come back when the story's dead. Maya laughed, hollow, bitter. So disappear. Become invisible again. I'm trying to protect you. By erasing me? She walked out. Took the subway home. Packed car, stranger's elbow in her ribs, fluorescent lights flickering. Anonymous again. She'd forgotten how that felt. Safer maybe. Simpler. Lonelier. Her apartment felt smaller than it had before Grant. Before skyline views and marble floors and the specific luxury of being seen. She made ramen. Ate it standing at her kitchen counter, scrolled through comments on her voice recording. Thousands of opinions about her life from people who'd never met her. One comment stopped her. My cousin works at Apex Tech HR. Says Grant Whitaker dated an intern last year. Paid her off when it went south. This is a pattern. Maya's hands went cold. She searched. Grant Whitaker intern scandal. Nothing concrete. But rumors, whispers, deleted Reddit threads. Enough smoke to suggest fire. She called Claire. Did Grant date an intern? Claire's pause was answer enough. It's complicated. That's not a denial. Her name was Jessica. She worked in legal. They went out twice. When she realized dating the CEO was a bad idea, she quit. Grant offered severance, generous but not hush money. She took it and moved to San Francisco. No scandal, no lawsuit, just poor judgment on both their parts. Why didn't he tell me? Because it's embarrassing? Because he learned from it? I don't know, Maya. My brother's not perfect. But he's not a predator. Jessica's thriving. She's at Google now, engaged, happy. She sent Grant a holiday card. That doesn't make it okay. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying context matters. Claire exhaled smoke. Maya heard it through the phone. Look, you have every right to be angry. That email was tone deaf. But if you're looking for reasons to leave, you'll find them. Grant's human, flawed. The question is whether his flaws are deal breakers or just complicated. Maya hung up, stared at her ceiling, thought about the USB drive, Grant's testimony, the hospital waiting room, white tulips and midnight walks. Evidence of character mixed with evidence of calculation. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. She answered without thinking. Miss Collins, a woman's voice, professional. This is Rachel Kim from the New York Times. I'm writing a feature on women in STEM and romantic relationships with powerful men. I'd love to interview you. No comment. I understand you're in a difficult position, but your story could help others navigate similar. Maya hung up. Blocked the number, but 3 more journalists called within the hour. Then a podcast producer. Then someone claiming to be a documentary filmmaker. She turned off her phone. The knock on her door came at midnight. Maya checked the peephole. Grant alone, no security, looking destroyed. She opened it. You shouldn't be here. I know. But I needed to see you. The press could be watching. Let them. He stepped inside, closed the door. Her studio felt impossibly small with him in it. I've been trying to give you space, but I can't anymore. I need to tell you the truth. Which truth? There seemed to be several versions. Grant flinched. Fair. But here's the only one that matters. I wrote that email because I'm still learning how to lead with my heart instead of my head. My CFO wanted ROI projections. I gave him what he needed to approve the budget. But I framed it wrong. I reduced you to a variable when you're the entire equation. That's not better, Grant. I know, but it's honest. He moved closer. The intern thing Claire told you? Yes, I dated Jessica twice. Realized it was inappropriate. She agreed. We ended it professionally. I offered severance because I didn't want her career damaged by association with me. She accepted. We both moved on. Why hide it? Because I was ashamed. Not of her, of my judgment. I promised myself I wouldn't date employees again. Then I hired you. Maya's breath caught. You hired me because you were already falling for me. Yes. That's worse. I know. Grant's voice broke. I know it's all wrong. The timing, the power dynamics, the optics. But Maya, I swear to you, I didn't create this opportunity to control you. I created it because you deserved the resources to do work that matters, and I had those resources. Was I hoping it would bring us closer? Yes. Was I using you? No, I was trying to deserve you. By making me dependent on you, by giving you what you'd earned. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This is a letter from my attorney. It transfers full ownership of Clear Heat to you. Non-profit status, independent board, zero connection to Apex Tech. You own it. If we break up tomorrow, you keep everything. The funding, the project, the credit. Maya took the envelope with shaking hands. Read the legal language. Transfer of assets irrevocable. Dated. 3 days ago. The day the scandal broke. You did this before I called. You, she said. I did it because it should have been yours from the beginning. And if I take this and leave anyway. Grant's smile was sad. Then I'll know I did one thing right. Maya set the papers on her counter. Looked at this man who'd been carrying so much. His father's sins, his company's reputation, the specific exhaustion of being constantly judged. She thought about Elaine's warning. When you hurt him, do it with honesty. I can't do this anymore, Maya said quietly. Grant's expression shattered. Okay. Not the project. Us. I can't be with someone who still sees strategy before he sees me. Maya, every time you make a decision about our relationship, you calculate first. The NDA, the consulting contract, even this transfer, it's protective, but it's also another wall. Another way to control the narrative. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need partnership. I need someone who trusts me enough to make messy decisions together instead of clean decisions alone. Grant sank onto her second-hand couch. You're right. I know I'm right. That's the problem. Maya sat beside him, not touching, but close. I love you, but I don't trust that you love the real me, or the version of me that fits your 5-year plan. There is no version. You're just you. Brilliant and stubborn and the only person who's ever called me on my bullshit consistently. Then why does it feel like I'm always catching up to decisions you've already made? Because I'm scared. Grant's voice went raw. I'm scared that if I show you everything, the mess, the doubt, the fact that I have no idea how to be in a healthy relationship, you'll realize I'm not worth the work. Maya felt something crack in her chest. So you perform. You optimize. You present the best version and hope I don't notice the rest. Yes. That's not love, Grant, that's advertising. The silence that followed felt final. Grant stood, moved toward the door, stopped with his hand on the knob. What would you need? He asked. To trust me again? Maya considered. Time, space, proof that you can be vulnerable without collapsing. And therapy, real therapy, not just talking to your sister. I'm already in therapy. Twice a week for 2 years. Then maybe you need to fire your therapist because it's not working. Grant's laugh was broken. Brutal but fair. He opened the door. For what it's worth, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Even if I keep fucking it up, that's not enough. I know. He left. Maya locked the door, slid down it to the floor, and cried until she had nothing left. The next morning, Marcus called. The board's pulling the funding. Elaine abstained from the vote, wouldn't defend you, wouldn't condemn you, just abstained. Maya felt numb. So it's over. The expansion's dead, but the pilot's functional. They can't take that away. Just the future. Just the 30 million that would have changed hundreds of lives, yeah. Maya hung up, stared at the transfer papers Grant had left. She owned a pilot program with no funding for growth, a proof of concept with no scale. Evidence that the work mattered, trapped in a scandal that made it irrelevant. Her phone rang again, her mother. Baby, I saw the news. Come home and I can't, I have work. What work? They canceled the funding. Then I'll find other funding. Maya, I can't quit, Mom. If I quit, they win. Everyone who said I was just Grant's girlfriend, everyone who doubted my competence, everyone who's been waiting for me to fail. I won't give them that. Her mother's silence was heavy. Then, okay, but you don't have to do this alone. I am alone. No, baby, you're just finally learning the difference between alone and lonely. Maya didn't understand what that meant until Mrs. Chen called an hour later. We're having a meeting. Community center. Tonight, you should come. Mrs. Chen, I don't think, is 6 o'clock. Be there. She showed up expecting empty chairs. Instead, the room was packed. Residents, local businesses, the church congregation, even the contractors who'd worked on installation. 50 people, maybe more. Mrs. Chen stood at the front. Thank you all for coming, she said. We're here because someone told us our neighborhood isn't worth investing in. That we're just a photo opportunity for rich people. That the work Maya Collins did here is somehow fake because she made the mistake of falling in love. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Mrs. Chen continued. I've lived here 43 years. I've seen every kind of promise. Politicians, developers, charities. They all come through, take pictures, and leave. Clear heat is different. My heating bill is proof. The equipment in my building is proof. The fact that my nephew Darren has a job maintaining these systems is proof. Darren stood. Miss Collins trained me herself. Spent 2 weeks teaching me the tech. I'm enrolled in HVCC's HVAC program now. That's not fake. That's my future. Another resident rose. I'm Mr. Patterson. Miss Collins helped my wife get her medication because we could finally afford both heat and prescriptions. That's real. One by one they stood. Shared stories. Showed utility bills before and after, documented, verifiable. Someone had brought a projector, displayed data. Energy consumption down 42% across pilot households. 0 equipment failures. 100% satisfaction rating. Maya stood in the back overwhelmed. Mrs. Chen waved her forward. Tell them what happened, she said. The truth, so Maya did. The leaked email. The scandal. The board pulling funding. Grant's offer to transfer ownership. Her decision to walk away from the relationship to protect her credibility. But it didn't matter, Maya said. They pulled the money anyway. Because the optics were too messy. Because I chose wrong, fell for the wrong person, trusted the wrong way. And now a project that works, that helps real people, is dead because I couldn't keep my personal life separate from my professional judgment. Mr. Patterson spoke up. That's garbage. You didn't choose wrong. You chose human. They chose money. He's right, Mrs. Chen said. This program works. We have proof. What we need is funding, so we're going to get it ourselves. Mrs. Chen, $30 million, not 30 million. Not yet, but we can start smaller. I've been talking to other neighborhoods. The Bronx Community Foundation, local credit unions, people who understand what this means. She pulled out a folder. We've already got commitments for $200,000. It's not much, but it's something. Maya's throat tightened. You did this for me? We did this for us. You showed us it works. Now we show others, grassroots, community-led, no billionaires required. The room erupted in applause. Maya couldn't speak. Couldn't process that these people, these residents she'd worked with for 3 months, had organized, fundraised, and built a coalition in 72 hours. Mrs. Chen handed her the folder. You own Clear Heat now, right? Papers signed? Yes, Grant transferred it. Then it's yours to grow. We're your first investors. No strings, no scandal. Just results. Maya looked at the commitments. Small amounts from churches, local businesses, community members. 200,000 wouldn't fund a full expansion, but it would fund something. A second pilot. Proof that scale was possible without Grant Whitaker's name attached. I don't know what to say, Maya said. Say you'll keep working. That's all we need. Maya nodded. I'll keep working. The meeting ended with plans, outreach strategies, grant applications, crowdfunding campaigns. Maya stayed late, answering questions, taking notes, feeling something she hadn't felt in days. Hope. She left the community center at midnight. The South Bronx looked different now, not tired but resilient. Not broken but building. Her phone had 17 missed calls from Grant. She didn't call back. Not yet, maybe not ever, but she sent one text. Thank you for the transfer. I'm keeping it, and I'm going to make it work without you. His response came immediately. I know you will. I'm sorry I wasn't better. I'm working on it. Maya didn't reply. She had work to do. 2 weeks passed. Maya threw herself into Clear Heat's relaunch. Grant proposals, community meetings, media outreach to outlets that cared about impact over scandal. The 200,000 stretched further than expected when volunteers stepped up. Darren recruited HVAC students. Mrs. Chen organized fundraising dinners. A local journalist wrote a feature, How the South Bronx Saved Its Own Green Initiative. The story gained traction. Donations trickled in. $20 here, $50 there, one viral tweet bringing in 5,000 from small donors across the country. It wasn't 30 million, but it was real. Grant didn't contact her. Maya told herself she was relieved. Then Claire showed up at her apartment on a Saturday morning holding coffee and a flash drive. I'm breaking about 6 NDAs by being here, Claire said. But you need to see this. See what? The person who leaked Grant's email. Claire pushed past Maya into the apartment, plugged the flash drive into Maya's laptop. I'd traced it. Took 2 weeks, but they found the source. A document opened. Forensic analysis, IP addresses, email server logs. Technical language Maya barely understood. But the conclusion was clear. The leak came from Elaine Whitaker's executive assistant. Your mother's assistant? Maya said. Why would... Keep reading, Maya scrolled. Found email threads between the assistant, a woman named Victoria Chen, no relation to Mrs. Chen, and a tech blogger. Negotiations. Payment terms. $10,000 for access to Grant's emails, $20,000 for anything scandalous. She sold him out, Maya said. She sold you both out. Claire pulled up more files. But here's where it gets interesting. Victoria's been embezzling from my mother's foundation for 3 years. Small amounts buried in administrative costs. Grant's forensic accountant caught it 2 months ago, right before the gala. So this was revenge? Self-preservation. Grant was about to fire her, maybe prosecute. She leaked the email to distract from her own crimes. Create a scandal big enough that nobody would notice missing foundation funds. Maya's mind raced. Does your mother know? She knows now. She's horrified. Wants to apologize to you publicly, but her attorney's advising against it until Victoria's case is resolved. Claire pulled up one more document. Bank records showing wire transfers from Victoria's account to offshore holdings. This is the evidence Grant's been sitting on. He didn't want to use it. Why not? Because it would have looked like he was deflecting blame. Making excuses. He thought you deserved space to be angry without him muddying the waters with defensive evidence. Maya stared at the screen. Evidence. Forensic proof. Not just Grant's word, but documented, verifiable truth. He really didn't leak his own email, she said quietly. No, and he's been letting the internet destroy him for 2 weeks rather than clear his name at your expense. Claire closed the laptop. Look, my brother's not perfect. That email was real. He did frame things in business terms because that's how he thinks. But the scandal? The pile-on? That was orchestrated by someone trying to save herself. Why are you telling me this? Because Grant won't. He's convinced he deserves your anger and anything else makes him manipulative. Claire stood. But you deserve the full picture. What you do with it is your choice. After Claire left, Maya sat with the flash drive. Thought about evidence. How she'd demanded receipts from the world but accepted Grant's guilt without verification. How she'd been so ready to believe the worst because the worst fit her narrative of how powerful men operated. She called Marcus. I need witness statements. Everyone who worked on Clear Heat. Timeline documentation. Proof that the project was designed before Grant and I were dating. That's a lot of work for, can you do it or not? I can do it. Why? Because I'm tired of defending myself. Time to prove the truth. Marcus delivered within 3 days. A dossier. Email showing Maya's initial proposal dated 2 weeks before the gala. Meeting notes from early planning sessions. Maya presenting tech specs. Grant asking questions, no romantic subtext. Witness statements from engineers, contractors, community members. Even Mrs. Chen on record. Miss Collins earned every dollar through competence, not connections. The final piece came from an unexpected source, Elaine Whitaker. She called Maya directly. Miss Collins, I owe you an apology. I'm listening. I abstained from the funding vote because I suspected my son's judgment was clouded by emotion. I was wrong. I've reviewed every document, every decision point. Clear Heat was your design. My son provided resources. You earned those resources through merit. And I failed to defend you when it mattered. Why tell me now? Because my assistant is being prosecuted for embezzlement and corporate espionage. Her lawyer just confirmed she leaked that email hoping to create enough chaos to hide her crimes. She succeeded. I want to set the record straight. Maya's pulse quickened. Publicly? If you'll allow it. Press conference. Full disclosure. My attorney says it's risky. Ties my foundation to scandal. But I'm tired of protecting reputations over truth. What about Grant? What about him? Does he know you're calling me? No, this is my decision. I wronged you, Miss Collins. My son's romantic choices are his own. But I should have separated his personal life from your professional merit. I didn't. I'm correcting that now. Maya thought about the evidence, forensic analysis, witness statements, Elaine's admission. The triad de provas, physical evidence from the flash drive, witness testimony from everyone who'd worked the project, authority validation from Elaine Whitaker herself. Okay, Maya said. Let's hold a press conference. When? Tomorrow. Give me time to coordinate with the South Bronx community. If we're telling the truth, everyone deserves to be there. The press conference was scheduled for 2 p.m. at the community center. Maya spent the morning preparing, not scripts but evidence, printed utility bills, installation photos time-stamped before the scandal, financial disclosures showing Clearheat's budget separate from Maya's consulting contract. Grant arrived an hour early. Maya was setting up the projector when she saw him. Dark suit, circles under his eyes, posture that suggested he'd been carrying too much for too long. "I didn't know my mother called you," he said. "I figured. I would have asked her not to. You deserve peace, not more drama." Maya set down the papers. "Peace isn't the absence of drama, Grant. It's the presence of truth. Is that why you're doing this?" "I'm doing this because Mrs. Chen's nephew shouldn't have to explain why his job is legitimate. Because the South Bronx deserves credit for saving its own program. Because I'm tired of being someone's scandal." Grant nodded. "Fair, can I help?" "You can sit in the audience and let me do this alone. That's what I've been doing for 2 weeks, then keep doing it. I need to prove I can stand without you." He looked at her. Really looked, with the kind of attention that had first made her feel visible. "You never needed me to stand. You just let me stand beside you. There's a difference. Maybe." Maya turned back to her setup. "But today I stand alone." At 2 p.m. the room filled. Reporters, cameras, residents, curious neighbors. Elaine Whitaker arrived with her attorney. Claire sat front row. Grant stayed in the back, barely visible. Maya began. 2 months ago an email was leaked suggesting I was Grant Whitaker's PR strategy. Today I'm here to present evidence that narrative was false and created by someone trying to hide her own crimes. She walked them through it. Showed Claire's forensic analysis on the projector. Read Victoria Chen's emails to the tech blogger. Displayed bank records showing embezzled funds. Then presented her own timeline. Proposal drafts, technical designs, community meeting notes, all dated and verified. "This project exists because communities deserve better infrastructure," Maya said. "Not because a billionaire needed good press." The leaked email was real. Grant Whitaker did frame Clearheat in business terms. But that email was taken out of context and weaponized by someone facing prosecution. The work is real. The results are real. And I'm asking that we focus on evidence, not speculation. A reporter raised her hand. "Miss Collins, are you still in a relationship with Mr. Whitaker?" "That's not relevant to Clearheat's validity, but it's relevant to your credibility." Maya met the reporter's eyes. "I fell in love with someone who values the same work I do. That doesn't make me incompetent. It makes me human. If you can't separate my professional accomplishments from my personal choices, that's your limitation, not mine." Elaine stood. "I'd like to add something. I initially questioned Miss Collins's relationship with my son. I was wrong. After reviewing every document, every decision point, I can confirm Maya Collins earned her position through merit. The foundation is reinstating Clearheat's funding. Full $30 million with oversight by an independent board Miss Collins will chair." The room erupted. Questions flew. Maya answered each with evidence, data, documentation, witness confirmation. She called Mrs. Chen forward to discuss community impact. Darren explained the training program. Mr. Patterson showed his family's heating bills. An hour later, it was over. Reporters filed out. The community celebrated. Elaine approached Maya. "You're formidable," she said. "I'm tired. That's how you know it mattered." Elaine handed her an envelope. "The check. Same amount, new terms. You control everything. My foundation provides funding, nothing more." Maya took it. "Thank you. Thank you for proving me wrong." I needed the reminder. After everyone left, Maya sat alone in the empty community center. Exhausted. Vindicated. Uncertain what came next. Grant appeared in the doorway. "You were brilliant." I was factual. Same thing. He moved closer but didn't sit. "I'm going to step back from Clearheat. Completely. Apex Tech will provide technical support if you request it, but my name won't be attached. This is yours now, Grant. You were right. I calculated when I should have trusted. I built walls when I should have built bridges. I'm working on it. New therapist, actual vulnerability practice, the whole uncomfortable process. But that's my work, not yours." Maya stood. "What if I want it to be ours?" He froze. "What? You're not your father. You're not your worst email. You're someone trying to be better, and that's hard and messy, and you're going to keep screwing up." She moved closer. "But I'm going to screw up too. I'm going to be angry when you calculate. You're going to be hurt when I don't trust you. We're going to fight and apologize and hurt each other trying to love each other. That sounds exhausting. It sounds real. Maya took his hand. I don't need perfect, Grant, I need honest. Can you give me honest? I can try. Then try. He kissed her, soft, tentative, like he was afraid she'd vanish. Maya kissed back, tasting relief and possibility and all the complicated work ahead. When they pulled apart, Grant said, I love you. Inefficiently, imperfectly, with terrible emotional vocabulary, and I know. I love you too. Now shut up and help me pack up this projector. They worked in comfortable silence, and for the first time in weeks, Maya felt something like peace. You've made it this far, subscribe and let us know. Have you ever had to fight for the truth when everyone believed the lie? Comment your story below. Victoria Chen's prosecution became public 3 days later. Federal charges, embezzlement, wire fraud, conspiracy. The tech blogger who'd paid for Grant's emails cooperated, provided evidence in exchange for immunity. Within a week, the narrative shifted. Headlines changed. How media scandal nearly destroyed. Legitimate green initiative. South Bronx program survives coordinated. Misinformation. Embezzlement suspect used romance. Rumors to hide corporate theft. Maya did 15 interviews in 5 days. She refused to discuss her relationship with Grant, redirected every question to Clear Heat's results. Data, evidence, community impact. The story couldn't be killed if the facts didn't change. Elaine Whitaker held her own press conference, stood before cameras and admitted she'd failed to separate personal bias from professional assessment. Maya Collins is one of the most competent energy consultants I've encountered. I allowed my concerns about my son's judgment to cloud my own. That was wrong. The foundation is implementing oversight reforms to ensure merit is evaluated, independently of personal relationships. The board reinstated Maya's funding, apologized, tried to smooth over their vote with promises of future support. Maya accepted the check, declined their apologies. You can prove you believe in this work by judging future projects on evidence, not optics. Clear Heat's expansion launched in March. Second pilot in Washington Heights, third in East Harlem. Maya hired a full team, engineers, community liaisons, grant writers. Darren became lead technician. Mrs. Chen joined the board. They created a template. Community input first, technical design second, funding third. No billionaire saviors. No corporate branding. Just infrastructure that worked. By May, energy costs had dropped 35% across all pilot neighborhoods. Local governments took notice. City Council allocated budget for expansion. Private donors, carefully vetted, contributed to a growing fund. Maya appeared on NPR, Bloomberg, a TED Talk that went viral. She wore the same blue dress from the Gala, refused stylist help, talked about thermal efficiency with the same passion that had first caught Grant's attention. Reporters still asked about Grant. She still redirected. He provided initial funding. The community built the rest, but privately they found their rhythm. Grant attended board meetings as a silent observer. No votes, no influence, just support. He'd arrive early to help set up chairs, stay late to clean up coffee cups, treat Maya's work with the kind of respect that didn't need performance. They had date nights. Messy ones, fights about his tendency to problem solve when she needed listening. Her tendency to expect mind reading instead of asking for what she needed. Therapy. Couples therapy now. With a woman named Dr. Shaw who didn't tolerate either of their defensive patterns. You're both high-functioning avoiders, Dr. Shaw said during one session. Grant avoids through optimization. Maya avoids through independence. You're terrified of needing each other. That's bleak, Maya said. That's honest. Now do the work. They did the work. Slowly. Imperfectly. Grant learned to say, I'm scared instead of, I've got a plan. Maya learned to say, I need help, instead of, I'm fine. In June, Clear Heat was nominated for a Climate Innovation Award. Maya prepared her acceptance speech, assuming she won, focusing on community partnership and grassroots funding models. The ceremony was at Lincoln Center. Black tie, donors, politicians claiming they'd supported the project all along. Maya wore a new dress, green silk she'd bought herself, no borrowed anything. Grant wore his standard suit, sat beside her holding her hand under the table. When they announced Clear Heat as the winner, the room erupted. Maya walked to the stage alone, looked out at hundreds of faces, some who'd supported her, many who'd doubted, a few who'd actively tried to destroy her credibility. She began. 6 months ago, I met Mrs. Chen in the South Bronx. She told me she'd gotten used to being cold. Today, her heating bill is 60% lower, and she runs a non-profit teaching other neighborhoods how to implement similar systems. That's not my victory. That's hers. She talked about the community organizers, the volunteers, the residents who'd fundraised when institutional funding disappeared. She showed data, energy savings, carbon reduction, job creation. She credited engineers, contractors, policy advocates. Then she addressed the scandal. Many of you questioned my credibility because I fell in love with someone wealthy. You assumed I'd traded expertise for access. That narrative was convenient. It fit existing scripts about women, ambition, and power. But it was false. The person who leaked that email is currently facing federal prosecution for embezzlement. She weaponized my relationship to hide her crimes. And you all believed it because skepticism of women's competence is easier than skepticism of institutional bias. The room went silent. I'm not asking for sympathy, Maya continued. I'm asking that we judge work by results, not by who the worker loves. Clear Heat works. The data proves it. 23 neighborhoods have implemented similar systems. Energy costs are down. Carbon emissions are down. Community ownership is up. Those are facts. My relationship status is personal. Learn the difference. She held up the award. This belongs to the South Bronx. To every resident who trusted the work even when the press called it fake. To every small donor who gave $20 because results mattered more than headlines. Thank you. Applause started slowly, then built. Maya walked off stage to Grant, waiting in the wings. That was terrifying, she said. That was perfect. They skipped the after-party. Walked through Central Park instead. Same path as the night they met, full circle again. June air warm. City lights soft through trees. The specific piece of being known. Do you regret it? Grant asked. All of this? The scandal? Yes, the work. Never. Us. Maya stopped walking. Do you? Not for a second. Grant pulled something from his pocket. Small box, jewelry-sized. This isn't what it looks like. Then what is it? He opened the box. Inside, a key. Simple, silver, unromantic. Key to what? Maya asked. My apartment. Our apartment, if you want it. No proposal, no pressure, just an offer to share space. Officially. Messily. With fights about whose turn it is to buy milk and whose work crisis takes priority on Tuesday. Maya took the key. This is the least romantic grand gesture I've ever received. I'm working on being honest, not smooth. It's working. She kissed him. Yes, I'll take the key. And the milk arguments. And the Tuesday crisis negotiations. Even knowing I'll optimize our grocery lists. Even knowing I'll ignore your optimizations and buy random vegetables we never use. They walked home together. Not his place or her place, their place now. Maya used the key, it worked. They spent the night talking about expansion plans, arguing about thermal conductivity, falling asleep mid-sentence because exhaustion mattered less than proximity. At 3 a.m., Maya's phone buzzed. Mrs. Chen. Just saw your speech on YouTube. You made us proud, honey. Maya smiled. Texted back, I learned from the best. Grant stirred beside her. Who's texting at 3 a.m.? Mrs. Chen, she's proud. She should be. You're changing the world. We're changing it, slowly, imperfectly. Best way to do it. Maya set down her phone, curled into Grant's warmth, thought about visibility. How she'd spent years being invisible, then months being hyper-visible, and was finally learning the difference between being seen and being understood. Grant? Thank you for the tulips. All those months ago. For seeing me. Thank you for letting me. Outside, New York hummed with its million unfinished stories. Inside, Maya and Grant slept like people who'd survived something together and decided to keep surviving. One honest conversation at a time. A year later, Maya stood on a rooftop in the South Bronx. Below, 23 buildings glowed with heat from recaptured industrial waste. Above, October sky promised winter. She held a clipboard, checking system efficiency reports while Grant talked with city officials about expanding to Brooklyn. Mrs. Chen joined her at the railing. Beautiful, isn't it? It's infrastructure. Not traditionally beautiful. Disagree. Watching this neighborhood stay warm without going broke? That's the most beautiful thing I've seen in 40 years. Clear Heat had grown beyond anything Maya had imagined. 75 neighborhoods across 3 boroughs. Federal grants pending for national replication. a documentary filming residents' stories, job training programs that had employed over 200 people. Maya had hired a full executive team, delegated, learned to trust others with the work she'd once controlled alone. It had been harder than designing thermal systems, letting go, believing competence existed beyond her oversight. Grant had stepped fully back from operations. Apex Tech provided technical consultation when requested, nothing more. He'd launched his own initiatives, water access projects in sub-Saharan Africa, affordable housing in Detroit, applying lessons learned from Maya's model. They consulted each other, argued over approaches, respected the distance between their work. Their relationship had settled into something sustainable. Morning coffee arguments, evening work debriefs, weekly therapy sessions where Dr. Shah called them on their patterns. Holidays with Elaine, who'd thawed to the point of sending Maya birthday gifts without passive-aggressive commentary. They'd moved into a bigger apartment. Brooklyn, not Manhattan, because Maya refused to pay Manhattan rent. Grant had complained for 2 weeks, then admitted he liked it. Less noise, more space, a kitchen where they actually cooked instead of ordering in, no engagement ring. Maya had been clear. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I need to build this fully before I add marriage complexity. Grant had nodded. Fair, I'll wait. For how long? However long it takes. Now, on this October rooftop, 1 year post-scandal, Maya felt something like peace. Not the absence of challenge. Clear Heat faced constant obstacles, funding gaps, policy barriers. But the presence of purpose, work that mattered, people who believed in it. Grant finished with the officials, joined her at the railing. Brooklyn's interested. Want to present next week? You present. I'm training the new operations manager. Look at you, delegating. Dr. Shah would be proud. She'd say you're still using work to avoid emotional vulnerability. But yes, she'd note progress. Maya laughed. Probably accurate. They watched the neighborhood. Kids playing in the street. Bodega lights warm. The specific life of communities that had learned to save themselves. Grant's hand found hers. She let him hold it. I'm proud of you, he said. For what? For building something that doesn't need me. For proving you could, I always could. I just needed resources. And now you create resources for others. That's the thing I'm proudest of. Maya leaned against him. You're getting better at feelings. Therapy's expensive but effective. Worth it? Absolutely. Mrs. Chen called them inside for dinner. Community celebration, potluck style. Everyone bringing dishes that smelled like home. Maya and Grant stayed until late, eating Mrs. Chen's dumplings, laughing with residents, planning next year's expansion. At midnight, they left. Took the subway home, packed car, stranger's elbow, fluorescent lights. Anonymous again, but differently. Maya wasn't invisible. She was private. There was a difference. In their apartment, Grant made tea. Maya checked her email. Grant applications, interview requests, a message from the documentary filmmaker asking for final approval on her segment. You ever regret it? Grant asked, handing her chamomile. The visibility, the scrutiny, the price you paid? Maya thought about it. I regret the scandal. The headlines. The doubters. But I don't regret the work, or us. Even when it was hard, especially when it was hard? Maybe. She sipped tea. Pain means you're building something real. Easy doesn't change anything. Grant sat beside her. Dr. Shah said something similar last week. That comfort is the enemy of growth. Your therapist is wise and she's also expensive. I checked. We've paid her enough to fund a small pilot program. Worth it? Absolutely. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, Brooklyn hummed with its own stories. Inside, Maya and Grant existed in the space between perfect and real. Where love meant showing up for the mess. Where success meant proving yourself to yourself. Where visibility meant being seen for exactly who you were. Grant? Maya said, yeah? Ask me again. In 5 years. When Clear Heat's in 50 cities. When I've proven I can build this fully. When I know for certain I'm choosing you, not needing you. Ask you what? You know what? Grant smiled. 5 years. I'll wait. You might change your mind. I won't. Confident. Accurate. He kissed her forehead. I've already seen you build impossible things. 5 more years of watching you do that? Easy. Maya curled into him. Nothing about this is easy. That's why it's worth it. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, tea cooling on the coffee table. city lights washing through windows. In the morning, Maya would return to Clear Heat, to community meetings and grant applications and the endless work of building infrastructure that actually served people. Grant would return to Apex Tech, to his own initiatives, to parallel paths that sometimes intersected. But tonight they slept. Two people who'd chosen each other despite scandal, despite power dynamics, despite every reason it shouldn't work. Because love wasn't about perfect conditions. It was about showing up for the actual work, the fights, the apologies, the daily choice to stay. Moral: real love isn't rescued from difficulty, it's built through it. Dignity isn't granted by institutions, it's claimed through persistent evidence and community trust. The most radical act in a world obsessed with optics is doing work that matters regardless of who's watching. And sometimes, the person who sees you first isn't the one who saves you. They're the one who stands beside you while you save yourself. What would you have done in Maya's position? Fought for the work, or walked away? Drop your answer in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about courage, justice, and the messy reality of building something real.